Welcome to the Healing Room. I'm Lavonda Handy, licensed marriage and family therapist and founder of Truth Center for Health and Healing. This podcast is a space where we slow down, get honest, and reflect on truths that shape us. Here, you'll find real conversations, solo reflections, and stories that center healing culturally, personally, and collectively. And just so we're clear, this podcast isn't therapy, and I'm not your therapist. My hope is that every time you leave this space, you'll feel empowered, seen, and inspired to keep growing. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Now let's get into it. Hi, everyone. I am Lavonda Handy, licensed marriage and family therapist and founder of Truth Center for Health and Healing. And welcome to the Healing Room. This is our first podcast episode, and I am so glad that you are here. I'll be really candid with you all. I'm actually pretty nervous about doing this. This is something that kind of just fell on my heart, and I wanted to be able to share it with everybody. But of course, it's a totally new situation, and I'm like, girl, I don't know if you could do that, but I'm going to give it a try. And I'm so glad that you all are on this journey with me and being introduced into this podcast world through me. So like I said, Lavonda Handy, licensed marriage and family therapist, founder of Truth Center for Health and Healing in the mental health field for over 10 years. That's a wild aspect for me. This therapy thing and owning my own practice, for sure, I would say fell into my lap, but always wanting to be something for someone else has always been a part of who I am. I remember as a kid, I've always wanted to be a therapist or a psychologist, but I initially started out wanting to work with children because I had that old saying, Will Smith song, parents just don't understand. And I called myself a translator for teenagers and kids because it is very true. When you become an adult, sometimes our brains are functioning on survival. Our brains are functioning on getting food on the table and making sure that everybody is taken care of, versus when you're a teenager, your prefrontal cortex is not closed. It does not close until 25. And I'm pretty sure some of us not until 30. And I don't know, mine might still be developing, but it is definitely a time for adolescents where I was like, they need somebody to give them a voice. Because I myself remembered what it was like just looking into the world, but not really sure how to communicate what my needs were. I wasn't really sure how to communicate what my opinions were. So I am really, and I've always been really passionate about helping others. And now that I'm 10 years plus into my career, I have really learned that healing doesn't just happen in the therapy room, right? It doesn't just happen between a therapist and a client. It happens within communities. It happens within conversation. And I want this space to be a place where people are able to begin to create those conversations. I want them to be able to say what they're feeling, what they're thinking in the most authentic manner, without fear, without hesitancy, without thoughts of judgment. I want healing to happen through authenticity. I'm not sure if anybody ever knows this, and I really don't talk about this as much, but name my practice Truth Center for Health and Healing. And I was very intentional about that. I was in fitness at one point, and the word truth was just what was coming to me. And I've actually created an acronym out of it, and it's truth reveals you to healing. Because when you live in your truth, when you authentically show up as yourself, and you don't feel like you have to perform for folks, when you feel like you don't have to wear a mask for folks, and you authentically live in yourself, oh, the life that you get from that. It rings through your body, the joy that you feel. And I bet you when you're not living authentically, you can feel it in your body. You can feel the tension in your shoulders. You can feel the cramps in your gut when you're not living intentionally. And I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but The Body Keeps the Score. It's an actual book. Of course, the author is leaving my brain at this moment, but this is really true, right? When we are feeling sick and when we are feeling down, that could be related to stress. It could be related to anxiety. It can be related to when we're not being true to ourselves. It will show up in your body. So that's one tip already, right? Be true to who you are. And if you're not, if you're having some different feelings in your body, be attuned to that. Be in tune to when you're not feeling authentically yourself, right? And the healing room, this place is where I want to just slow down, right? I want to make connections through sharing myself, make connections through having other folks on here, or just giving you some everyday healing tips because every day there is something that is happening within the world that could impact us. I am very much a marriage and family therapist through and through. And so that means I'm a systems thinker and that the impact is happening at all times, right? It's from the biggest impact of like our government and our systems on those bigger levels down to when you walk out your front door. Did you forget a phone? Did you forget a key? Did you forget something? And then you got to run in and it slows you down because guess what? There's a bus that's going to be in front of you and you tried to leave the house before the bus, but you forgot that thing, right? So the impact of everything is happening at all times. And so I want us to be really cognizant of that, of how impact is happening to us and around us and how we can live within it authentically and still allow healing to happen for us. And those happen for me through conversations. My therapy room looks like that. It feels like we are just having a conversation between two people, and then I create healing out of it. And the healing room is a place that I get to have many more conversations because in a therapy room, I can only see so many clients in a week. It is very tiresome at times. I love practicing and being a practicing clinician, but it is very true. That job, if you see more than 20 to 25 clients a week, it can be a lot. It can be a lot, but that's not a problem. And so now I just want to be able to have more and more conversations with all of you and just learning how to enjoy this space and enjoy each other and our stories and how they allow us to be just ourselves and truly accept ourselves as we are. And considering how healing happens both inside in a room, healing looks like to me being able to just sit with discomfort. I know there's a space where we all think that if something really bad happens that we should just be like be over it because we have to get back to the rat race of life. But the reality is that sometimes it just means sitting in it for a moment, right? Creating space to feel sad, creating space to feel the worry, but like acknowledging the feelings of how it happens. I do this for myself. I'll share a pretty like personal story of what recently happened to me. Something that was, I would say, just like out of left field, right? If I think about who I am as a person, I'm a go-getter. I work out at least 3 to 4 times a week. I'm a mom, so I'm like super engaged and I play with my daughter and I enjoy the work that I do, right? And so I'm very intentional about the work that I do. And I had to be put on pause essentially. And who I didn't know. And it's like when burnout hits, do you actually know that burnout hit? I'm gonna say in this moment, I did not know it was coming, right? And so I had to really take a look at myself and slow down. I had been back in May, I was really just like going 2025 was doing 25 things, which is fine. And then all of a sudden one day I just couldn't walk. Like there was cramps in my body that was like breaking me down. I was all set to go to my cousin's graduation party and that was not happening. My husband said, absolutely not. We need to go to urgent care. We went to urgent care and the woman was like, it could be this, but I'm not really sure. So I want you to go to the ER. And I went to the ER and they said, oh, guess what? It probably is that thing, but it's really bad. And we're going to send you home to get like your medicine and you'll be fine. but the cramping and me not being able to walk intensified, and then I couldn't even sleep at night. We had to go to the hospital again at 2 a.m. in the morning. This thing sat me down so hard, y'all. So hard. I didn't know what was happening for me. I didn't know that I needed to sit down until this moment. And it really created a space for me to reflect. I spent a total of 11 days in the hospital where it was literally like an episode of House or Grey's Anatomy. And they were like, we don't know what's wrong with you. Let me tell you how scary that is, of being in a professional space with doctors when they don't know what's wrong with you. It's very scary. And I went into crisis mode, I would say, as a therapist, right? And so if there's a crisis, I'm like, can you find me an answer? We're going to figure this out. But afterwards, after they figured out that I had some kind of bacterial infection, we have no idea where it came from. Little nerve-wracking, but make sure you're washing your hands. We had no idea where it came from. But afterwards, right? After I left the hospital, I had no strength. I'd been laid down for 11 days and no strength. And I had to sit with myself, and going back to everything impacts us. And I had went to see my infectious disease doctor as a follow-up. And I said, I must have been working way too hard or thinking or stressing or doing something. And he was like, huh? What do you mean by that? Do you think like stress and work cause this? I said, maybe not directly, but your immune system shuts down when you're doing too much. And so this is the system, my system of what I was doing was impacting me. And my immune system was not fully functioning because I had too much on my mind. And so I really had to slow down and consider it's okay. It's okay not to be doing 1,000 things at once. It's okay to not have to show up this way. It's okay to just be you. I had to sit with that. I had to sit with just being me, and that was okay, and showing up as my full self. And I think this is where the healing room potentially has come from, right? Like me finally having the courage to do this platform, because for a while I had pulled back. And I think this is the voice that I want to be able to share with others. And this is the platform that I want to create for others to be able to share their voice and create their healing and their connections in this space. I want to thank you. I want to thank all of you for listening today. I hope that this space creates a space that is empowering, insightful, and healing as you listen. I want it to be a reminder that you are not alone in your healing journey, and that you are always welcome to come share it with me. So please subscribe, follow, and share with someone else who's on their healing journey and needs a space to authentically be themselves. I'm Lavonda Handy, licensed marriage and family therapist, founder of Truth Center for Health and Healing. And y'all remember, I am not your therapist, and this is not a therapy space. But if you do need support and if you do need help, please find a licensed clinician located in your area. Hope to see you soon. Thanks for joining me in the Healing Room. If today's conversation spoke to you, be sure to follow, rate, and share the podcast with someone who could use a little healing too. Remember, this space is for reflection and inspiration, not therapy. If you need support, please connect with a licensed provider in your area. To learn more about me and my team, visit truthcenterhh.com. Until next time, keep honoring your truths.